So if you're going through a breakup right now, you probably know the exact physical sensation I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely. It's that heavy feeling.
Yeah, right? Like it usually hits the moment you wake up. Before you even open your eyes, there's that terrifying drop in your stomach. Your brain remembers what happened, and suddenly you are just completely depleted.
Right. It's like a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how many hours of sleep you actually got.
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Our mission today is to help you plug that energy leak. We are exploring a fascinating psychological framework that's basically designed to help you fundamentally shift how you process letting go of an ex.
And the central premise here, which is really wild, is that the core realization you need to move on can actually be achieved in just 17 minutes.
Which sounds impossible, but we're going to get into it. We're pulling our insights from two deeply connected texts today. The main one is called Reclaiming the Source, 17 minutes to moving on. And we're pairing that with a more comprehensive breakdown titled The Alchemy of Letting Go.
Yeah, both of these works investigate the mechanics of that invisible cord you feel tethering you to your ex.
Yeah.
They completely challenge the standard advice of, just letting time heal the wound.
Right, because logically you already know the relationship is over. I mean, your rational brain totally understands the reality of the situation.
But your nervous system is, operating on a completely different set of instructions entirely. It's just a profound state of physiological drain.
Yeah.
Your mind is constantly spinning, running simulations, replaying old arguments. You're effectively sending massive amounts of your cognitive and emotional energy towards someone who is, frankly, no longer in your daily life.
It operates like this massive invisible energy leak. So the goal here is to provide a really specific game plan to bring your energy back into your own physical body. We want to stop the relentless doingness of trying to move on.
And that doingness is a really crucial trap to identify early on.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, often the activities we categorize as quote-unquote trying to move on, like analyzing the relationship, venting to friends, or, monitoring their social media.
Oh, yeah. The endless Instagram scrolling to see if they look sad.
Exactly. Those are actually just covert methods of staying actively engaged with the loss. You're still giving them your energy. To truly detach, we need to step out of that cycle. You have to uncover the underlying emotional architecture that keeps you attached.
But you can step back into your own independent frame of reality. To stop this energy leak, the sources suggest starting with a pretty uncomfortable question. We have to interrogate what exactly you are grieving.
Because surprisingly, the premise here is that you might be entirely mistaken about what you actually miss.
Which sounds crazy, right? Like, obviously I miss my ex.
Right. But the psychological root of romantic attachment is rarely just about the physical presence of the other human being. The sources make a compelling case that you're not struggling to let go of the person, you are struggling to let go of the meaning you assign to them.
The story we tell ourselves about them.
Exactly. Consider the vocabulary our culture provides for romance. It's incredibly pressurized language. We call people our soulmate or a twin flame or, the one.
Right, that puts so much pressure on one regular human.
Psychologically, it assigns an impossible amount of weight. When you project that level of cosmic significance onto someone, losing them doesn't just register as a breakup.
It feels like losing your only shot at love.
Exactly. You've inadvertently trained your nervous system to view this one specific person as your exclusive source of safety and happily ever after.
Which explains why the anxiety feels like a literal threat to your survival. And the sources use this fantastic analogy to illustrate how story alters our relationship to physical reality. They talk about a camera battery.
I love this analogy. It's so clear.
Yeah, so imagine a standard camera battery. Just a simple block of plastic and lithium. If you hold it in your hand and drop it on the floor, you don't care. You can easily throw it in the trash, right? It holds zero emotional weight.
But the dynamic completely changes the moment a specific narrative is introduced.
Right.
If someone hands you that identical piece of plastic and tells you, hey, this was the battery used to power the camera that filmed my child's first steps, or, this started my entire filmmaking career.
Suddenly the object is totally transformed. You feel this deep reluctance to throw it away.
Even though the physical properties of the battery are completely unchanged, the lithium is still just lithium, the invisible glue making it impossible to discard is the story overlaying it.
The story is the glue. That's so powerful. And they take this concept even further into our own psychology. They propose that you don't even miss the ex as much as you miss the specific version of yourself you were allowed to be when you were around them.
Yes. You're utilizing them as a permission slip.
A permission slip, right? Like when they were around, you finally gave yourself permission to feel attractive or worthy or safe from the world.
Exactly.
But I have to stop here and offer a bit of like reality testing for our listeners,
but-
because hearing that someone was just a catalyst or a permission slip, I mean, that feels overly clinical.
It can sound a bit cold, yeah.
Right. If you're deeply heartbroken, that might even sound dismissive, because when you're in love, the joy and the connection, they don't feel like a story you're telling yourself. The physical warmth, the comfort of their presence, it feels intensely real.
And that is a very necessary distinction to make.
Yeah.
The physical and emotional experiences you had were undeniably real. No one is saying the love was fake.
Okay, good.
I mean, the flood of oxytocin, the dopamine rushes, the genuine feeling of your nervous system regulating when they walked into the room, those are biological facts.
Right, you can literally measure those chemicals.
Exactly. The critical nuance that the sources are highlighting is about the manufacturing of those feelings. Your ex was the environmental trigger that caused your brain to release those chemicals, but they were not the manufacturer. Your own body manufactured the love.
Oh, wow. So the capacity for that immense feeling always belonged to my biology. They just happened to be the stimulus that unlocked it.
Yes, you had it all along. And understanding why we are so desperate to find an external stimulus to unlock our own happiness that requires looking far beyond the immediate breakup.
Right, because we have to examine why we feel incapable of generating that safety on our own. Which brings us to the ghosts of our past.
Yeah, this is where it gets really deep.
It really does. The framework suggests that this agonizing white knuckle clinging to an ex is, it's almost always a replay of very old, unresolved childhood energy. The breakup is just activating a wound that was installed decades before you even met this person.
Let's look at the developmental psychology of this because it makes perfect sense. Children are inherently egocentric, which is a completely normal part of cognitive development.
They just think the world revolves around them.
Right. They do not have the capacity to understand complex adult motivations. So a child interprets everything in their environment as being caused by them.
Okay.
So if you grew up with a parent who was emotionally distant or consistently working or maybe dealing with their own untreated trauma, a child's brain cannot process that as mom is struggling with depression or dad is stressed about the mortgage.
Right, because they don't know what a mortgage is, so they interpret the absence as a direct reflection of their own value.
Exactly. And it is a tragic but brilliant survival mechanism. Think about it. If a child accepts that their caregiver is simply incapable of loving them, that is a terrifying realization.
It means they're fundamentally unsafe in a dangerous world.
Yes. But if the child internalizes the belief that I am the problem, well, that actually creates a false sense of agency.
Oh, I see, because then they can fix it.
Precisely. The subconscious logic becomes, if I am the reason they are distant, then if I just become quieter or smarter or better behaved, I can fix the situation and make them stay. Blaming oneself is basically a defense against the terror of powerlessness.
Wow. And we drag that exact same biological programming right into our adult romantic lives.
We absolutely do.
The sources describe the aftermath of a breakup as an attempt to negotiate with reality. You're essentially using your ex as a stand-in for that unavailable parent.
Right, you are trying to retroactively win the validation you were denied as a child.
That makes so much sense.
The subconscious mind views the ex leaving as just another failure of your worthiness. Therefore, if you can just formulate the perfect text message or change your appearance or convince them to come back.
You aren't just saving a relationship. You're finally proving to that wounded inner child that they are, in fact, lovable. Like, see, people don't abandon me.
Exactly. And that significantly reframes the compulsion to overthink. Anyone who has been through a breakup knows the agony of lying awake at 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Analyzing every single conversation, dissecting the tone of voice used in a random fight from, like, 6 months ago.
Right, trying to map out exactly where it all went wrong. But the sources argue this overthinking is not actually a search for truth. It is a highly effective defense mechanism.
Wait, really? The overthinking is a defense mechanism?
Yes. The cognitive treadmill of overthinking keeps your prefrontal cortex entirely occupied. As long as your brain is engaged in the puzzle of figuring out the why of the breakup, you are successfully avoiding the underlying emotional void.
Oh, wow. Because sitting in the quiet reality that you feel inherently unlovable is agonizing.
Exactly. Analyzing a timeline of texts is stressful, sure, but your mind will choose the stress of analysis every single time to protect you from the raw, deep-seated shame of feeling like you are not enough.
So it's an elaborate shield. You are choosing the chaos of the puzzle over the terrifying silence of the grief.
You are.
But, realizing that the root of the pain is a childhood survival strategy acting up in the present, that doesn't automatically turn off the pain.
Right.
If the goal is to break this circuit, we have to somehow prove to our nervous system that we actually are enough, entirely on our own.
And this is where the framework introduces a mechanism to achieve exactly that. They refer to it as the hack.
Yes, the hack.
The pivot point of this entire philosophy is proving, through actual lived experience, that you are the common denominator in your own joy.
I found the thought experiment they use for this to be incredibly disruptive, in a good way, to how I normally think about emotions. Let's walk the listener through it.
Let's run the scenario right now.
Yeah.
I want you to imagine we are sitting in a coffee shop. You are in the thick of the breakup exhaustion, feeling deeply, deeply low.
Okay, I'm there. I'm exhausted.
Suddenly, I look at my phone and tell you I have unbelievable news. Your ex just reached out to me. They are in a complete panic. They realize they made the biggest mistake of their life. They were deeply in love with you, and they are on their way here right now to beg for your forgiveness.
Okay, my physical response to just imagining that is immediate. Like, my heart rate elevates. The heaviness in my chest completely evaporates.
Right.
The exhaustion is gone, replaced by this massive rush of adrenaline and euphoria. I would feel like the entire world just snapped back into vibrant color.
Your entire physiological state radically transforms in a matter of seconds.
It does.
Now imagine I look at you a moment later and say, I completely fabricated that. Nobody texted.
Oh man, it's an instant physiological crash. The stomach drops, the heaviness slams back into the chest, the world goes gray again.
It is a brutal crash.
Yeah.
But the whiplash of that experience reveals the most important truth of this entire framework. What actually caused the euphoria in that first moment?
Well, nothing external.
Right. Your ex did absolutely nothing. They did not send a message. They were miles away, entirely unaware of the conversation. They had zero material involvement in the physical joy you just experienced.
My own brain generated the entirety of that physical sensation based on nothing but a change in information, like a fake story.
Exactly. You flooded your own system with relief, love, and joy. The capacity for that immense emotional high was sitting dormant in your nervous system the entire time.
Wow.
When you believed they were returning, you simply gave yourself permission to remove the block. You unlock the vault of your own joy.
That completely dismantles the illusion. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the ex does not possess the keys to your happiness. You have always had the keys right in your pocket. You just, temporarily handed them over to someone else and convinced yourself they were the only one who could operate the lock.
And that realization is exactly why the method is called reclaiming the source. It forces you to recognize that the fountain of these profound emotions is internal. You are the source.
You are the source.
When you fully integrate the fact that you independently generated the feeling of being in love, the desperate dependency on the other person really begins to collapse. They are simply a mirror reflecting your own capacity for love back at you.
Taking ownership of that machinery is so powerful, but I think it also leads to the final and perhaps most difficult hurdle.
Letting go.
Right, because if we logically understand that we hold the keys to our own joy, and we recognize that we're just playing out a childhood script, why is the urge to check their Instagram still so overwhelming? Like, why are we still resisting true release?
It fundamentally comes down to the illusion of control. The reason it remains so incredibly difficult to let go, even after you map out all the psychology, is that a deeply wounded part of you still believes you can influence the outcome if you just maintain enough mental focus.
So true freedom demands the complete surrender of that control.
Absolutely.
We try to keep the relationship alive in the abstract. Like, if I keep running the memories, if I keep projecting arguments in the shower, if I keep monitoring their Spotify playlist to see what mood they're in, I maintain this microscopic thread of connection.
And the authors of the framework issue a very stern warning about how we attempt to sever that thread. They emphasize that letting go can never be used as a tactic.
A tactic.
Yes. If you were using detachment as a strategy, you are still actively participating in the power struggle.
Oh, the phenomenon of the fake let go. I think literally everyone has either experienced this or attempted it themselves.
It happens constantly. You make this grand declaration of moving on. You initiate no contact, you archive the photos, you tell all your friends you are completely done.
Yep.
But in the quiet recesses of your mind, the entire performance is fueled by a secret, desperate hope. The hope is that by withdrawing your energy, the universe, or the X, will somehow sense the shift. You hope the sudden silence will cause them to panic, realize what they lost, and come chasing after you.
It is identical to walking away from a negotiation at a car dealership.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Right. You say, your price is too high, I'm leaving. And you start walking toward the parking lot. But if you're checking over your shoulder every 3 steps to see if the salesman is running out the door to offer you a better deal, we haven't actually walked away.
Not at all.
You are just employing a higher stakes strategy to get the car.
That perfectly illustrates the dynamic. As long as you are checking over your shoulder, you are leaking energy. You are still trying to control the behavior of the salesman.
So what does true release look like then?
True release, the kind of freedom the sources refer to as being good either way, requires a fundamental shift in your internal state. Being good either way means you reach a point where if they called you tomorrow, you would be fine, and if you never cross paths with them again for the rest of your natural life, you would also be entirely fine.
Wow, your internal peace is no longer contingent on their external choices.
Precisely.
But getting to that point of absolute neutrality seems so daunting. How does someone actively shift their energy from checking over their shoulder to actually getting in their car and driving away?
You have to systematically uncouple your present value from your past wounds. That childhood belief that you have to earn love by fixing a broken situation. You cannot heal that by forcing an ex to choose you.
Right.
The healing only occurs through radical self-acceptance in the present moment. You must gather up all the immense meaning, all the soulmate energy you so generously projected onto this other person, and you must deliberately reinvest it into your own ecosystem.
So you essentially take the heavy narrative off the camera battery and reattach it to your own life.
Exactly. You direct that intense focus into your own passions, your own intellectual curiosity, and your own friendships. The profound paradox of this framework is that by completely abandoning the attempt to control the X and by becoming the singular source of your own validation, your energetic signature changes.
You cease to operate from a place of deficit.
Yes. And as you embody that self-sufficiency, you naturally begin to attract relationships that reflect your healed state rather than relationships that merely trigger your oldest fears of abandonment.
That completely flips the paradigm of heartbreak. It moves it from a story of loss to a story of profound reclamation.
It really does.
We have traversed a significant amount of psychological territory today. If you are listening to this and still feeling the weight of that exhaustion, let's just consolidate the core insights from our deep dive.
Good idea.
First, recognize the illusion of what you are missing. You are not grieving the objective reality of the person. You are grieving the immense pressurized narrative you attached to them. They were the catalyst, but they were never the source.
Absolutely.
Second, extend a massive amount of grace to yourself regarding your anxiety. The desperate need to win them back is very likely your inner child attempting to rewrite an old survival script about not being lovable enough. The overthinking is just your brain trying to protect you from that vulnerability.
And most importantly, anchor yourself to the reality of the text message experiment. The overwhelming joy, the profound connection, the deep sense of safety you experienced in the best moments of that relationship, those were not imported into your body from the outside.
They were already in you.
Your own nervous system generated every single one of those feelings.
Yeah.
You hold the absolute monopoly on your own capacity for joy, which means the energy leak can stop the moment you recognize your own power.
You can actively call all of that misplaced energy back into your own physical space right now.
Yeah.
As the framework so powerfully concludes, you are already whole, you are inherently enough, and you are entirely free.
It is a challenging but ultimately transformative way to view human connection.
It is a complete re-education on how we experience love. So as you step away from this deep dive and back into the rhythm of your day, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over on your own.
I love this part.
If the intense love, the profound meaning, and the deep emotional reality you felt for your ex were actually generated entirely by your own mind and your own extraordinary capacity for storytelling, well, imagine what happens when you turn that exact same storytelling power toward the possibilities of your own future.